Well, it's a good question because a lot of people don't think about that, right? When you start stacking, you kind of just start buying silver, but a lot of people don't think, what's my time frame? Where am I going to sell? Am I going to sell online? Am I going to sell to my local coin shop? And that will depend on the type of silver you stack. But I think the main thing when it comes to your end goal is figuring out why you're stacking. If you're stacking more from a prepping mind state compared to just an investment, that's going to determine your end goal or how you approach that as well. Mine personally is more for retirement. I don't plan on selling my silver for 20 plus years. I mean, I'm only 29, so you know, I can look at that realistically, but some people maybe they're already retired and are planning on selling in 5, 10 years. So your end goal is definitely, like you said, individualized, which I think is pretty cool. But it's definitely something you need to reflect upon yourself, right? I actually just made a video talking about how much silver you need, and the article broke it down from $500 a month all the way to 20,000, and showed from 1 month to all the way up to 5 years, if you invested $500 a month, how much silver you would have, and also um, over time, how many ounces you would need in terms of living off that. It was a really cool article, but it really showed like if your goal is only 100 ounces or even 1,000 ounces, that's not enough to retire, right? When it comes to your end goal, you really got to think, how much am I talking about or thinking of making? Is it 500,000 or is it 5,000? If you're 19 years old, maybe 5,000 is enough, right? But maybe if you're trying to retire, you have to approach it differently, because 100 ounces, 500 ounces isn't isn't enough to really meet that standard or expectation. So
Right.
uh,
Yeah. And I think a lot of people also have to consider, do they have just silver only? Do they have silver and
mm,
gold? Do they have precious metals? And are they going to tap into, if they own a home, tap into their house? Do they have a 401k? There's so
mm,
many different things to kind of figure out, like, okay, what exactly out of all of this, everything that I put the fiat money into, what how much silver do I really need when I'm thinking about this whole portfolio, this whole like basket of assets? And for myself, Silver Slayer just mentioned retirement. That's how I think of it as well. And I'll also even add that for myself, what I want to do when it comes to accumulating assets is just pass them on to the next generation. The one thing that I noticed was, and this is more of like a personal, probably like family timeline, but I noticed that with my grandfather and my father and me, there was always this progression. And then I thought about myself, well, how am I going to progress the next generation that comes after me? Because they even said millennials are going to be the first generation who will actually underperform the
mm,
prior generation that came from it, which is like a first. Usually you'll find that Gen Xers will, do better than the baby boomers better than the silent generation. But they said that millennials will actually underperform.
yeah.
So one of the things that I wanted to do was try to fight against that. So for myself, when I look at silver, I'm like, well, I want this to be the one thing, or maybe that with real estate, those hard assets that I can literally just pass on to, my kids and hopefully